Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. On today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be having a look at the last question from the Gauteng September 2022 paper 1 mathematical literacy paper, right? And in this video tutorial, guys, we are going to be tackling taxation, right? So if you know that you're currently struggling with taxation, right, you do not know what a tax rebate means, you do not know what tax thresholds are, right, you do not understand what primary, secondary, and tertiary means thereby tax rebate, please make sure that you watch this entire video tutorial because I'm going to be dissecting all of these definitions in this video tutorial. Okay, so before we get started with today's video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also don't forget to give this video tutorial a huge thumbs up because that really helps the channel grow and it helps the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics more. And if you want to join our maths gang, right, please also join and be part of our maths gang family. All right, so without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. Right, so like I mentioned, we are going to be tackling question 4.3, okay? And question 4.3, guys, deals with taxation. So question 4.3 says that the individual tax rates for the tax year 2022 is shown on Annexure F. Use Annexure F to answer the questions or to answer the following questions. Okay, so let's have a look at Annexure F and see what is given to us, right? So this is our Annexure F, right? And Annexure F basically shows your taxable income as well as the rates for tax that are charged for the 2022 tax year, right? And the 2022 tax year is the financial period from the 1st of March 2021 to the 28th of February 2022. Okay, we are also given a tax rebate table, right, for the years 2022 to 2015, right? And the tax rebate, guys, is an amount where SARS reduces the actual taxes, okay, that a person owes depending on certain circumstances, right? And in this case, right, a certain amount will be deducted from the tax that you owe based on your age. Okay, and then here, guys, we are given the table that shows the tax thresholds, right, for the years 2022 to 2015. Okay, and what is a tax threshold, right? So a tax threshold, guys, right, is an amount you can earn, right, without paying tax. Okay, so for example, right, if you are basically under the age of 65, right, and you earn an annual income of 87,300, okay, that means that now here, right, you basically need to, if you earn an amount that is above 87,300, that means that now you will have to pay tax, right? But then if you earn an amount that is below 87,300, that basically means that you don't have to pay tax. Okay, so a tax threshold is an amount you can earn without paying tax, right? So I hope that basically makes sense. So let's basically have a look at the questions that are given to us, right? Question 4.3.1 says Trevor is a 67-year-old plumber who earned an annual taxable income of 126,500 in 2021. Did he meet the tax threshold requirement for 2021? And explain what this means. Okay, so we are told that Trevor, right, is a plumber and he earned an annual taxable income of, right, 126,500 in 2021, right? So we're going to go to our tax threshold table, right? And basically see if this amount is above the tax threshold, okay? And if it is above, right, that means that he has to pay tax, but if this amount is below the tax threshold, right, that means that he does not have to pay tax. So let's have a look at the question or the table, right? We are basically focusing on the year 2021, okay? So we're going to be focusing on this column there, right? We are told that Trevor earned a taxable income of 126,500. I'm going to write it here so that we do not forget the amount. So he earned a taxable income of 126,500, right? And I mentioned that if this amount is actually above the tax threshold, that basically means that he needs to pay tax, right? The other information that was given to us is that Trevor, right, is basically 67 years old, right? So we're going to go to our tax thresholds table, right? And if he is 67 years old, that means that we are basically going to be focusing on this row here. Okay, right. So we're going to be focusing on the amount 128,650. Okay, that is the amount that we are basically going to be looking at, right? And then what do we see, right? This 128,650 is actually greater than 126,500. Okay, meaning that he basically does not have to pay tax, okay, because his annual taxable income is actually less than the tax threshold. Okay, so now to answer our question, did he meet the tax threshold requirement? Okay, so we're going to say that yes, he did meet the tax threshold requirement, right? Why am I saying he did meet a tax threshold requirement? Okay, he met this requirement because he basically earns a taxable income that is actually less than the amount that you have to earn for you to pay tax. Okay, so let's basically write that down. This is question 4.3.1. Okay, so yes, right? And what this means is that in the year 2021, right, Trevor was not eligible to pay tax, right? Or you can just write it that, or you can write yes, okay, he does not have to pay tax. All right, and for that, right, you'll get 1 mark for saying obviously yes, right, and then you'll get another mark for your explanation as to what the tax threshold means. Okay, all right, that is 2 marks. Let us go on to the next question. Question 4.3.2 says, what information is needed to determine a person's rebate? Okay, so when we basically look at the information that is given to us here, right? What information is actually needed for us to be able to calculate whether a person qualifies or is eligible to get a tax rebate? Okay, so from here, what do we see? We just need what? The age of a person. So a person's age is what is needed to determine what? A person's rebate. All right, and you will literally just get 2 marks for saying person's age is required to determine a person's rebate. Okay, question 4.3.3. Mr. Naidu is a 72-year-old who earns a taxable income of 55,250 per month. Okay, so Mr. Naidu basically earns 55,250 per month after deductions, right? In the 2022 tax year. If he claims that more than a quarter of his annual taxable income is paid to SARS, he claims that more than a quarter of his annual taxable income is paid to SARS, right? And we need to verify showing all calculations whether his claim is correct, right? So in this case, right, Mr. Naidu is saying that a quarter of his annual income is paid to SARS. That is what he's saying, right? So we need to basically verify if his claim is correct by actually calculating how much tax he is charged using the information that is given to us in Annexure F, right? So before we can even get started with now verifying whether his claim is correct, we need to basically determine how much Mr. Naidu makes, right? What is his annual taxable income, right? Because they said that he claims that his annual taxable income. However, what are we given here? We are only given his monthly income. Okay, so we need to basically now find out how much is Mr. Naidu making in a year, right? After we've basically determined how much he makes in a year, okay, we are going to basically multiply that with a quarter to basically identify how much he's actually saying he pays to SARS, right? Because you remember he says that he pays more than a quarter. So we're going to determine how much he claims that he's paying, right? And then from there, we're going to calculate how much tax he actually pays using the information that is given to us in our tax table. Okay, so please pay attention. This question is very important. Okay, I'm going to start the question on a new page because it's going to be very long. Question 4.3.3. Right. Okay, so if Mr. Naidu makes 55,250, right, per month after deductions, right, how much is his annual income? Okay, so we're going to take that 55,250 and we're going to multiply it by 12 to get what his annual income is equal to. Okay, so to get his annual income, okay, or the income he makes in a year, we're going to take that 55,250 and you're going to multiply that by 12, right? So his annual income, if you is 663,000. Okay, so that is how much he basically makes in a year. Okay, and then he claims that, okay, he basically claims that a quarter of this amount is paid to SARS, okay, or more than a quarter of this amount is paid to SARS, okay. So he claims that, right, more than a quarter of this 663,000 is paid to SARS, right? So we want to determine how much that amount is, right? We know when we see that of, right, we basically multiply. So a quarter multiplied by 663,000 gives you 165,750. Okay, so in other words, right, he is claiming that more than 165,750 is paid to SARS. So this is his claim. Okay, so now we want to basically verify if this is correct. Okay, so how do we verify if this is correct? We need to now calculate how much tax he's going to pay, okay, using the information that is given to us. Okay, so let's actually do that. Okay, so we already know that his taxable income is 663,000. Okay, so if he's earning an income of 663,000, what are the rates that he is going to pay for tax? Okay, so firstly we need to basically determine in which tax brackets or tax income are we at. Okay, so you'll notice that if I'm just going to number this to just make it easy for you guys to follow, this is the first tax bracket, this is the second tax bracket, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seven. Okay, just numbering that so you guys can follow with me, right? So if he's earning 663,000, okay, which tax bracket are we in, right? You'll notice that 663,000 is actually the fifth tax bracket. So we are actually within the fifth tax bracket because 663,000 is actually an amount between 613,601 and 782,200. Okay, so that amount is between these two values. Okay, so we're going to calculate his rate of tax using this information that is given to us here. Okay, all right, so what are we told here, right? So we're told that if you earn between 613,601 to 782,200, right, you get charged a rate of tax of 163,335 plus 39% of the taxable income that is above 663,000. 613,600. Okay, so I'm going to put a link to another video tutorial that you can watch where I basically go into depth as to what this basically means. When they say 39% of the taxable income above, what do they actually mean? Please also watch this video tutorial, right? I'll put a link to it in the end screen. So just check out the end screen because I'll show you which video you can also watch so that you can also watch more topics relating to this. Okay, right? So what does that mean? I'm just going to quickly rewrite this information on the next page. Okay. Right. So to calculate the rate of tax or how much tax he'll basically have to pay, right? We're going to add 163,235 plus 39% off, right? So we know that if we see that off, guys, we basically multiply, right? We're going to multiply by what is the taxable income that is above 613,600, right? So you're basically going to take the annual income that he earns of 663,600 and you're going to subtract it by that 613,600. Okay, because we want to basically determine the amount that is above 613,600. Okay, right? So if you basically punch that into your calculator, what do you get? You'll get 163,335 plus 39% multiplied by 663,600 minus 613,600, right? You basically get 49,400. Okay, what does this 49,400 mean? Okay, this is the taxable income that is above, right, 613,600, right? In other words, right, if you take 613,600 and you add 49,400, you will get his taxable or his annual taxable income. Okay, so that is the amount that is above that 613,600. Okay, so if you then multiply that 39% with 49,400, you will get 19,266, right? So 39% of 49,400 is 19,266. Okay, so if you now punch that into your calculator, the rate of tax that Mr. Naidu will basically pay, right, is going to be 182,601. However, we are not done, right? We still need to take into account what the tax rebate, okay? Because I already explained what an rebate is, and a rebate is an amount where SARS basically reduces the actual tax, right, depending on certain circumstances. Okay, so from this amount we still need to reduce the primary tax rebate for the year 2022 and the secondary rebate, right, tax rebates for the year 2022. Why are we supposed to also reduce the primary? Okay, because some person will just be like, okay, but then they said Mr. Naidu is actually 72 years old. So I'm just supposed to just subtract the secondary rebates because 72 years is between 75 to 74, right? However, guys, right, the primary rebate, right, is a tax rebate that is charged for all people, right? So we still need to subtract that 15,714 and we also need to subtract that 8,613, right? Because then a secondary rebate is then a tax rebate that is or an amount that is reduced, right, if the taxpayer is 65 years or older, right? And then your tertiary rebate, right, is an amount that you will basically reduce from the tax, right, if the taxpayer is 75 years or older. So in this case, because our taxpayer is between the ages of 65 to 74 years, right, we're going to subtract that 8,613 and we still need to subtract that 15,714 because the primary rebate is also deducted for all natural persons, right? So in other words, the total tax that he's going to basically pay, okay, we need to basically subtract the rebates, okay, don't forget to do that. So therefore the total tax paid in the year 2022, okay, is equal to Remember, we got that 182,601 minus, right? I mentioned that we need to basically subtract that 8,613 because, right, the taxpayer is 72 years and 72 years is on that second row, okay? However, we still need to also subtract, right, the primary tax rebate of 15,714, okay? Because I did mention your primary rebate is charged for all natural persons. So every person, right, you need to basically subtract that primary rebate, okay? So if you punch that into your calculator, it's equal to 158,274. All right. So now we basically have to go back to the question. The question basically asked us, right? We need to verify showing all calculations whether his claim is correct. Remember, right? He basically claimed that more than 165,750 was paid to SARS. So we were supposed to get an amount that is more than this amount. However, when we basically calculated the total that he paid for tax, we actually got an amount that is less than that 165,750. Therefore, we can confirm that his claim is not correct. Okay, he actually pays less tax than he claims. All right. So how will they actually mark this question? Question 4.3.3. Okay. You'll get 1 mark for obviously calculating the annual income. That his annual income is 663,000. Okay. You'll get 1 mark for showing that you know how to calculate the rate of tax, right? That is 163,335 plus 39% multiplied by that 663,600 minus 613,600. 1 mark for that, okay? 1 mark for your final answer of 182,601, okay? Then you get a mark for obviously now subtracting your rebates, okay? The fact that you said I am 8,613 minus 15,714, you get a 1 mark for that, and 1 mark for the amount, the total tax that he actually paid in the year 2022. Okay, so you'll get another mark for obviously saying that his claim is not correct, right? And then the other mark basically goes to you showing that showing how you calculated the quarter of his annual income, that a quarter times 3,000, right? You will get a mark for obviously showing that calculation, okay, right? And that is basically how they will basically distribute the 7 marks. Okay, so that is it for today's video tutorial, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it was super informative, right? I did mention that I'll also put a link to another video tutorial that you can watch where I basically deal with taxation. So please have a look at this video tutorial, guys. It will also help you tremendously if you still do not get taxation. Okay, that is it for today's video tutorial, guys. We are done with this paper, right? Finally, right? And I'll be uploading the next video tutorials on the September 2022 mathematical literacy paper 2. Okay, so please make sure that you are subscribed so that you can see the video tutorials when they are uploaded. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.